Welcome to the DL Gaming Podcast, adding games both new and old to your backlog, one slightly inappropriate episode at a time. My name is Christian, and brain empty, maps painted. Joining me today is Amanda.
You can find me and probably my brain splattered out on the battlefield.
Okay, Bobby.
And the game I played this week was Possum.
Okay, we're gonna
Maybe I should have gone with Clossum.
Clossum. I'm just as lost, surprisingly, just as lost. This
really
week, we're going to be talking about, and there it was, the amazing, got to listen to the pre-show to catch the history on that one. This week, we're going to be talking about Stray, Battlefield 6, and a little mod called Imperium Surrectum. But first, Bobby, what's new?
Well, I'll tell you what's new. 2 weeks ago, I was not on the podcast, and I totally forgot to talk about it last week. I went to Comic-Con 2025, and it was the first time that I've been.
Sorry, midstream interrupt.
Yeah, I totally meant to talk about it last week, but then something else came up. But it was interesting because it was the first time I've been to Comic-Con since like 2018. And the shift is definitely back to comic books. There's a lot less Hollywood there. It was very different. And whenever I go to these events, I'm always looking for whatever video games they're promoting at these. And big promotions for Little Nightmares 3, which I'll be talking about later. Mecha Break, which recently released. And then also I saw a very interesting tabletop game called Peanuts the Doctor Is In. And unfortunately, it looked good, but then when I actually figured out what it was, I wasn't that impressed with it. But it was a good time. I got a few pictures that I got to post up in Discord. I've been meaning to do that. But yeah, man, it was... and of course, there's all sorts of like little trinkets and doodads and stuff you can buy. And anytime I see those, I'm always like, I can just get this online for cheaper probably. But then I look online and this stuff is way more expensive. You actually get a pretty good deal on like, these t-shirts and little statues and stuff at Comic-Con. Like they cut you a pretty good deal. But it was fun, man. It was a good experience. They had a demo where you could play a little bit of Little Nightmares 3, which I thought was cool. Always good to see video games being promoted at these things.
So I know Comic-Con is one of the biggest ones of these events. Like it's, I think, world famous, the one in San Diego. But every city has their kind of comic and games expo. I know Calgary Expo has a very small section dedicated to video games, like 4 or 5 booths. And then they have a separate video game expo that fills the whole expo hall, and it's quite larger. I guess my question is for Comic-Con, what's the balance of video game to comic books to movies? Like, yeah, what's your feel for it?
It's very small. I mean, like specifically dedicated to video games, there were some booths, not even booths, but even like large areas dedicated to that, like here and there spread throughout, but mostly there wasn't a lot of that. It was a lot of comic books, a lot of artists, some like Hollywood stuff, new shows coming out. I never make it to any of the panels. Like I'm not a wait in line guy. I'm too old for that. So I never make it to those things. But
it's 120 years old. If he waits in line, he'll disintegrate.
Yeah.
I got things to do.
At Calgary Expo, I heard Adam Savage talk. That was like the one panel I really wanted to go to, and I made it in. We got there early, and obviously huge lineup for Adam Savage. And it was one of the best things I've ever done. I didn't know what to expect. I kind of went in there blind, and it was like a mixture of, I don't know, questions. It was like our listener question segment for his whole panel, and somehow that turned into like him motivationally speaking about life and these questions, and just he has such stage presence, and obviously he commands the camera. Totally worth seeing, I think, going to someone who really is a performer. Like getting to see them in person is completely different than on television. So that's fun.
Yeah. Did see a few celebrities. I've never really like met a celebrity, and I saw Keith David standing outside of the Omni, which is a hotel down here. And he was just hanging out, and I'm just like, I'm not going to go up and bug him. And as soon as I made that decision and walked on, I saw someone else walk up to him and do the whole fan thing. So I was like, well, at least someone's giving him attention. But Keith David, they just announced that new Rick and Morty spinoff for the president who he voices. But, he's been in everything. I mean, even, I always think of him as the guy from The Thing, John Carpenter's Thing in 1982, but he's been in so many things. Who else did I see? I saw someone else on the floor too, and I was just like, oh, they had Flash Gordon there, the guy who played Flash Gordon, and Michael Biehn, who, Terminator, Aliens, all those 80s action movies, but also who does an incredible amount of voice work in video games. His name will just like pop up and things too. I'm like, oh my God, he voiced that in this video game. And the one that I always point out is Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. I think he voices the main character in that. But yeah, a lot of voice work.
I have no idea celebrity names when they're said. I'm like, yeah, that's someone I don't have any concept of.
Punch it in Google and you'll be like, oh yeah, it's the guy from The Thing.
It's the guy from The Thing. Keith David, 2 first names, just right off the bat, no idea who this guy is. I don't know. Vibes are mixed, I would say. Keith David? I don't know. Keith David? Keith David. Say it enough and you'll get where I am, okay? Amanda, what's new?
It's been a fascinating 24 hours. So I was kind of telling Bobby a little bit at the top of the show that my fiance moved to Vancouver, Canada, and so across the border we've been troubleshooting PC not working for Battlefield 6 because Battlefield 6 came out with early access to play starting on this past Thursday, and this weekend and next weekend is open beta. So they're kind of related to what I did play, but what's new is that I have I still have a limited understanding of troubleshooting hardware, but I have a little bit better understanding because I figured out how to we figured out how to update and change the entire BIOS to trick the PC into believing that it has a storage disk that it does not have, and changing and updating the firmware on the BIOS, and then also gutting some parts I don't need. If you're seeing on camera, I have this long wire that was connecting from the GPU to the PSU, and it seems like it was just either bottlenecking or something. I mean, it was consistently, the temperature was sitting at 96 for the CPU, and now it's at 88. And so, I don't know, rip out more parts and maybe it'll work better. I'm just kidding. I don't condone that. DLG is not telling you to rip out parts of your PC and see if it runs better. Thankfully, my partner knows what he's doing.
What a fun game. Just go in there and tug. Just see what's loose and get it out.
Yeah, but it's crazy, and it's wild. Sometimes the passion for really wanting to make a beta work that you can go through, just taking out parts of your computer to get it to work.
And if we're talking about the hardware stuff now, I was playing with both of you, and Suyash was talking a little bit about what the process you guys went through. And I was like, what? He's like, first of all, I discovered error 216. That didn't match up with the crash log Battlefield was giving out. So I thought, this sounds like a power problem. Anyways, and he went down a long string of things I'm not qualified to even repeat. And then I thought, hacker mode engaged. I think we all need someone like this in our life. Maybe.
I agree.
Yeah. I would never tug any cords in my PC. I'm surprised it runs once since I've said it.
Yeah, I was a little nervous, but you know what though? It really helps when you the things that you can achieve with somebody who knows exactly what the fuck they're doing and a Discord video call while I'm just taking out parts of the PC and screwing things in, but we did it, and it's running great, and Battlefield 6 completely ran after that. I was not only able to play one game, but I was able to play 3 hours of it. So
take that, AI. You might be able to replace some of us, but not Amanda's fiance. Guard him at all costs.
So I highly recommend people learning more about their hardware, even if it's through somebody that they love, because it's great. I feel like I kind of understand the PC a little bit better now, so that's nice.
That's great. That's wonderful. Bobby, as a big tech guy, what do you think about this issue? You know, any diagnosis, Spock? Anything's coming to mind?
Yeah, well, I don't know. It looked like the cable that you held up was like an extension cable for a power for your power supply that I'm guessing goes to the video card. Yeah, I don't know what that little part is there. But yeah, I don't know, man. Computers are complicated, and yeah, I've done my fair share of like troubleshooting, especially the hardware, and I've talked about this before. I've come to the conclusion that the simpler the better, and the more reliable versus performance is definitely the way to go, because nothing sucks more than just like not being able to play a game, or something's crashing and you don't know what, or you know, it's just like nobody wants to deal with that headache. It's the one thing that console gamers have on us, right? They can just like, how does it work with consoles? Do you put in a CD or a cartridge, or you download something? I don't even know anymore. Like,
so old. Press the button and it
Forget
works.
120, 320.
But everything just works on a console.
Yeah.
And with computers, it's just like, well, you need the game ready drivers, and if you don't have that, like maybe your CPU doesn't support. Like I recently in my Windows server, like I had an extra 64 gigs of RAM. So I'm like, great, I'm going to swap this out. It's DDR4. Why not? And then I started getting memory errors. I'm like, well, what's this about? So then I underclocked the memory, and everything's good. And I'm like, well, why the motherboard supports this? And then I'm like, you know, jump into Google and Reddit, and people say that, oh, well, with that CPU, it can't run memory at that speed. And I'm like, well, shit. Okay. And you know, it's always just something like that, right? It's always some rabbit hole. And usually one rabbit hole leads into another rabbit hole. And it's just like, that's what I do for a living. And I don't want to do it when I get home, you know, because I don't get paid when I'm at home. So,
yeah.
You know,
I completely feel that, because like even where I'm at, I'm usually troubleshooting science related things, or like cancer related things, and then coming home and having to troubleshoot the PC. I was like, man, not only am I out of my breath of knowledge, but like I just want to fucking press a button and play. And like instead of it to go through and be like, oh, well, the CPU's been overclocking, so we have to change that in the BIOS and then fix that, and then change up the secure boot so we could do all of these things. And you're right, it's like a whole process and a whole rabbit hole. And we've come to the conclusion, too, of fixing this PC to take out extensions that aren't needed, to get rid of overclocking that wasn't needed, and to just reset everything to factory settings, because simple works. So you're right.
And that's how C-3PO was made, folks. Anakin worked real hard on that. Plug-in, push-in. Guys, I've contributed to the Steam Workshop for the second time in my life. So I played a game a couple weeks ago called Let Them Trade, which is like a city builder auto battler. There's no battling, auto trader. Yeah, maybe that's more accurate. And it's this chill Catan inspired game, and it has a Steam Workshop, and people are uploading their maps there. But I am also reading Game of Thrones, and so I was like, I want to play this so bad on Westeros. And I want, you know, the Dornish to send their fruits upstairs, and I want the Night's Watch to send the wood downstairs, and I want the gemstones to come across the narrow sea. I mean, you know, it's typical fantasy stuff, folks. But there was no Westeros, so I had to make it myself. So I spent 3.5, 4 hours painstakingly using an RPG hex grid on a map of Westeros and some of the free cities, and then painting one by one the tiles so that it matched up to the terrain from Game of Thrones. And I was pretty proud with my results. You can see it on the Steam Workshop under Let Them Trade. It's just called Westeros. It's the only one out there. I was so exhausted from doing this, I never opened up Let Them Trade and played on Westeros after. I was like, well, I'm done. I'm done with this game, and I've contributed my fair share. And I'm proud, and now added to the complete pile. I wish on these map editors that there was a little bit more events or scripting you could add. So, you know, you could have like a wildling invasion sort of scripted through the game as an event, but there's nothing like that. It's just the physical tiles. And guys, I don't want to brag, 26 subscribers on this workshop item so far. I mean, I think I'm making it kind of big. It's trending upwards. If this continues for the next 7 years at this rate, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, right? I mean, you do the math. Yes? No?
It's amazing. Yeah. I mean, guys, we've got a famous person here. He made Westeros and Let Them Trade. Bobby, this is another
Bobby.
celebrity that you could say that you've met with.
Don't walk up on me on the street, Bobby. You think you know me? I don't know, dude. It's a little awkward. Okay.
Keith David, be careful. He's coming for you.
I'm coming for you. David Keith. Is that a famous singer? Anyways, guys. Bobby, what did you play this week?
This week, I played Stray, the 3D adventure game where you play as a cat. An orange cat, mind you. Let's not Let's not dwell on that, though.
Let's not
it's not
dwell
about
on
the
that.
color of the cat.
Bobby, and before we get started, can you just give us your best meow? I just want to hear it.
Meow.
That was not bad. I think 8 out of 10. That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was better than my quip, the possum, which I should have explained is spelled Pawsom. Maybe it's better in writing, folks. It's just that I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't
possum.
hear it. Yeah.
Oh, pwa.
Like a cat's paw.
Like a cat's paw. Dude, fucking that joke's going to make someone laugh way later. And great job.
Only makes sense in writing. Yeah. So I played Stray. It's a 3D adventure game with like pretty simple puzzles, but it's very atmospheric and it's set in like this cyberpunk futuristic world. And it's got that cat appeal, right? You play as a cat wandering through this environment. The cat gets split up from its group or family. I don't know. And then it's got to make its way back to its group. And I thought that was going to be the game. I'm like, okay, we got a homeward bound situation here. You know, animals get separated. They have this great journey back. But then pretty early on in this game, you meet up or you go into this robot city and the game kind of turns into Wall-E. Like the story kind of branches in that direction. And I'll be honest, like I'm maybe halfway through the game. Like, I don't even know if I'm that far. So I've still got a lot more to unfold story-wise, but I think that's the direction that it's going in. So it is getting more interesting. At first, I was just like, this is kind of simple. It's not very interesting, but it got a lot better a couple levels in. But what they did a really good job with here is I could tell the devs did their research because they got all the cat tropes. And I say this after having recently gone to the Cat Video Fest, which is something they do in everywhere across the states around August. There's this thing called the Cat Video Fest. You could probably find it at your local independent theater. I was in Nashville like 2 years ago and I just saw this was playing and I was like, yeah, let's go check it out. And I thought it was like a one-time thing. And then sure enough, like I saw it was playing over at the local theater here and I checked it out. And it's just like a bunch of like cat videos and stuff. And, you know, we love cats, especially on the internet. They do funny things.
I'm trying to, it's a theater that you go to physically in person and they just play funny cat videos.
Yeah, they're like curated and they have like different sections. Like, and you know, this year they actually did it was better than previous years. There was more of a focus on like adoption and rescue and like that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's not like someone just like rolls clip on these, although I mean, it is kind of like that, but it is.
It seems crazy to me. Okay.
Yeah.
But funny, right?
But it's usually tied in, like they'll usually have someone from like a local rescue come and talk about like donations and stuff. It's usually like this whole event or something.
Right.
But yeah, Cat Video Fest. Check that out. So fresh off the heels of that, I'm playing Stray. And they totally, in this video game, they totally got like all the little cat tropes. Like there's parts where you can walk on a piano, which, you know, cats love to do. You can get a bag stuck on your head and it's hard to get off.
Classic. Oh my God.
Yeah. And of course, the classic one, just like the batting of the object off the ledge, which cats love to do for some reason.
Dude, I had this cat, Chico. Every single glass on any surface in the house, somehow he would hear it. This guy was half cat, half bat. I don't know. He heard the glass be poured, go to the bathroom, 30 seconds, crash on the ground. He killed so many glass. It was like his favorite thing to do was find glasses of water and smack them off stuff, to the point where we switched all our cups to plastic because we were tired of our glass cups breaking. Yeah, Chico. He's a real one, dude.
I don't know why they do that. They love doing that though. And you can do it in this video game. Like you can knock a lot of stuff off of things. Also, there's a point in the game where you get like this little backpack and a robot buddy. Cause you know, every video game, you got to have a little robot sidekick. But you know, have you seen those videos where cats react when they get like clothes put on them and they just like keel over and they
Yeah.
play dead because they're like so uncomfortable.
Yeah,
so that
one of my
totally
cats.
happens in this. And I was like, wow, they really did their research. So yeah, I mean, they nailed it on the whole cat aspect, but is that enough to carry the game, right?
The
Are we just like,
if you will. I'm
Yeah.
looking for the puns in this segment, by the way.
keep them coming?
All right.
But is that enough to carry the game? Like, is this just like an extended cute cat video and people just like it for the cat? I don't know. I mean, I'm going to have to get further in the game to really tell because it is a bit of a walking simulator. But I will give the developers credit for, number one, like nailing all the little cat idiosyncrasies. And number two, the movement of the cat is very accurate, very fluid. And I think that's just like a tough thing to do in video games. I think we've all played video games where you look at the screenshots and you think this looks really amazing. The graphics look great. And then when you actually play the game and you see it in motion, it looks terrible. Like there's just something lost.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes down to like the character animations. And I always think of this documentary that I watched on Jurassic Park. It was like, I think it was like a DVD special. It's like 45 minutes long. You can probably find it on YouTube. I don't know what it's called. But they, ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, you know, they did the special effects for like every movie ever, worked a lot with Spielberg. They talked about like, you know, these are creatures that we've never seen before with our own eyes. So how do we create the motions for them and make it realistic? So they filmed themselves physically acting like dinosaurs and running around. And they show the footage. It's hilarious, of course. And then they studied the movement on that. And I'm sure like they could have looked at other animals as well and studied the movement and figured out how to like translate that into like a digital space. But I feel like that's easier in video games for human beings because it's just been done over and over and over again. Every video game has like human beings, but for animals, maybe it's a little more difficult. But whatever they did, I don't know how they did it, but the
cat mocap. I don't know.
like even the mannerisms of the cat, the small little things that it does, it's very realistic. And the graphics on this game are really good too. So it does really sell it. So I was pretty impressed with that.
Yes. So also too, like they were able to nail so much of the cats because like the entire game was inspired and created like going off of the founders' two cats. And so it's a really small studio, but like, yeah, they had live, you know, like the two cats' entire live, you know, or lives were, they inspired this game. And so I think kind of to me, at least, because I played this game, I beat it, and Stray is definitely really beautiful. I do think that because it's about cats and because so many gamers have cats or love cats, that it's kind of created an extra layer of hype on it. But I also think that it can be both. I think that it can be cats are creating a bigger hype and a bigger like positive reception, but also too that they came out with a good game that was made at the right time, because this game, if I remember correctly, came out around COVID time when a lot of people were staying inside and you know, probably hanging out with their cats a lot more. And so it was the right time, right moment, but also well made, because I think that this game has done such a good job of, like you said, with the movement and really nailing the animation. But additionally too, as somebody that really likes walking simulators and story, like I think a lot of the story seems simple, but like it hits home in a really good way too. So I think it really was genuinely very well made.
Yeah, didn't this win like a handful of awards? Like, I almost think this question, Bobby, is a little offensive. I don't know. Like, is the game just good because it has a cat? But I thought it was like, I haven't played it, by the way, so I'm saying all this just from what I'm hearing or seeing. But I thought it was like critically acclaimed by multiple like industry tastemakers, if you will, as like a great game, not just a great game about cats.
Yeah, and I mean, what I've experienced so far with the puzzles, I'm not like super impressed by, and I'm not like really into walking simulators. And, you know, there's nothing wrong if people enjoy that. But I guess my question is it more than just a walking simulator? And I think the fact that it has a cat in it helps it out a lot.
I also agree with that, actually. I think that the cat being the focal point, the protagonist, is really helpful. But I would also argue on the flip side of that, too, that, I mean, when do we have a really well made atmospheric story kind of walking simulator based game with some puzzles sprinkled in here and there, where the protagonist is an animal that a lot of people can, I don't want to say relate to, but a lot of people can relate to it in the sense that like they have cats, they know somebody that has cats. This isn't like a deer, like we don't have a protagonist of being like a griffin. Like it's it's a household kind of animal in a similar way.
It's the wrong color to Bobby. We can't forget it's an orange cat.
Well, orange cats are kind of most of the time like mischievous and stuff. So actually, like them wanting to make it an orange cat, I'm sure was a creative choice as well too.
Aren't like 95% of orange cats boys too? Isn't that a thing?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. Why are you hitting us with the cat
calico.
facts?
I think that's more of calico cats, because calico cats, like on one X chromosome is orange and on another X chromosome is, I think, brown or black. So to have both, you would have to have two X chromosomes, which typically is female. So it's more so with that. But still, I think there's a lot of boy orange cats, I feel.
Yeah,
I have a boy orange cat, yep.
Yeah, I think they're like a female orange cat is like super rare or something like that, but I don't know. I'd have to look that up later. There is also a part in this game where the cat like stomps around on a keyboard. And, my cat is not allowed in my office, off limits. But I know when we record here, I see Christian's cat crawling all over him sometimes. Do your cats crawl on your keyboard and hit keys?
No, they typically do not. What will happen is I have my arms outstretched, one arm ready to grasp my water at any time, the other arm on my mouse as I'm working or typing or doing whatever. And my cats will sit in this valley of embrace as the perfect cuddle location and spill over onto my keyboard and hit all the keys. And then if they do the spillover, they gotta go. But if they just sit there nicely like a loaf of bread and cuddle me in that valley, then they could stay. Bobby, I do have a couple questions. You mentioned that you were playing this on the big screen with your girlfriend, so I'm wondering two things. I think, does your cat react to the cat in the game and like the sounds of the cat and stuff? And the other question, if you're playing this cooperative or passing the controller back and forth or however you're doing it, is the story strong enough that the person not playing is like invested and interested in it?
I don't think so. And my girlfriend was not very interested in this game, playing it, which is very interesting. I'm like a scientist behind a pane of glass with a clipboard, like, she does not react to the cat video game. Interesting. Yet she loves Slime Rancher. But what does it mean?
So funny.
It's very, but are we all like that? Like who can explain like why we like this game and not that game? But yeah, she's not really interested in this game. So it's been mostly me playing it. The cat was on the couch when I was playing it, and it did like kind of like, my cat is incredibly lazy. It is, she just, it's typical cat behavior, but this cat just like, she doesn't get up for anything, but she did kind of crane her head over and like look at it for a little bit and then like went back to whatever she was doing. But I will say I'm playing this in the living room with my new like surround sound, and the surround sound on this game is awesome. Like it's really good. I feel like you lose a lot with when you game on headphones, which I usually do in my office, but in the living room with like the 5.1 surround sound, like it sounds really good.
Oh, making me jealous. Nice. Cool. Okay. Let's move on to a game where it sounds like the technical issues are, for once in DLG history, more interesting than the actual game itself. Maybe we'll get into more of it, maybe not. But yeah, Amanda, what happened with Battlefield this week?
Yeah, so also what a jump to go from like literally just a chill walking simulator of cute cats knocking things over to a fucking battlefield of chaos and explosion. But here we are. So yes, as I kind of talked about of what's new, there were a lot of technical problems of trying to get this fucking game to work. If you would have watched a early access streamer on Twitch for, I believe, 30 minutes, and it gave you early access to play Battlefield 6 on Thursday. So my journey with Battlefield 6 did start on Thursday because I did that. I was excited. I was hyped. Full disclosure, though, I have not been a massive Battlefield fan in the past. I've always been kind of more Call of Duty, but have appreciated Battlefield, especially with the right group and the right squad. Played Battlefield 4, Battlefield 5, and then the latest Nightmare, which was the 2040 whatever bullshit. And so I did not play that one very much. But I was very excited because all of the Battlefield fans that I do have in my life, because a lot of times I feel like Call of Duty and Battlefield, they do cross over. Tarkov, it's a lot of us that play these big name first person shooters, right? And all of them were getting super excited about Battlefield 6, talking about how the devs really made it a point to go back to the basics, to kind of bring back the things that made Battlefield 4 so fucking amazing and the older Battlefield. So, it piqued my interest. So I was like, I'm definitely going to try and I'm going to play. And then come to find out that the Ryzen, I think it's Ryzen 7, the Ryzen CPU that I have, apparently there's long Reddit posts about how there's a few CPUs that just are not very compatible or problematic with this new Battlefield. And there's a whole thing of having to go into your boot menu in the BIOS and changing stuff. There were all a whole wormhole of tricks and things that you could try to get Battlefield to work. Because essentially what was happening is, in the very beginning, I would start up the game, blue screen before even connecting. Then I would start up the game, get in, and then as soon as I land through the cutscene, the debrief, whatever, and I get to my person, blue screen. And these things, and it also caused
blue screen or blue balls. I mean, come on, let me into Battlefield.
I'm trying to go here, and then just full stop. And then it was I was able to get in because we kept trying new things of going into the boot menu and changing secure boot, things like that, going into BIOS and trying to not overclock the CPU, things like this. So we were troubleshooting, and I say we, my fiance and I were, because he would remote in and try and go into the crash logs and hacker man the shit out of everything going on, but we couldn't find a lot of a true error other than something kind of related to the power source. And so, flash to me yesterday, I've got the PC completely open up. I'm unplugging, replugging everything, checking to make sure things aren't burned, pulling out fucking extension cords that we don't need, and doing all of this with limited light and a Discord video call. And you know what? It worked. It worked. We finally got it to work. And not only did I get to play, but we've won majority of the games that we've been playing. So I've played about 3 hours worth of it, and only lost one game. All the rest of them we've been winning. This game is amazing. I can't wait to I want to be done with the podcast now so I can play it.
It's so good.
It's so good. Yeah, because then Christian, you came in and joined us, and we played a bunch, and I felt like for a beta, it was so fluid. It was so easy to get you to join. I feel like the UI is really user-friendly. It was super easy to figure out where things are, especially coming from playing so much Dune Awakening, where it's oh, you have to go into your show role, and then you have to go find this, and you have to edit the exact permissions to each person. None of that shit. With Battlefield, it's just you want to play? I want to play? Sick. Let's play.
To be fair on that point, just a little bit of pushback. I felt like the core game was so fun, but when I went to edit my guns, I was like, okay, what have I unlocked from leveling up? And that wasn't clear. And I had to go 3 menus deep to get the edit on the gun. It wasn't really clear what guns I could unlock. I saw guns on the battlefield that were clearly sniper rifles or SMGs that I didn't see in my menu. So I'm like, oh, how do I get that? So I think there was some, but totally agree. For a beta, super smooth, but before it releases, and I was talking with your fiance Siash about this too. I hope they fix everything around the core game as well, because I don't want to spend a lot of time in menus. I want it to be pretty
quick,
user friendly. Yeah.
So in Battlefield 4, I had kind of that experience where there was just too much with the gun customization. And I bought the deluxe gold whatever edition that gave me all the loot crates and battle pass, whatever. So like I had all this stuff, and I would get a gun and be like, well, you can put this scope on it, and then you can, put this stock on it and like change all these things. And this one has like 0.2 more spread, but then like the handling is better. And it's just like, it was way too much. And then I think shortly, I think there was 5, and then they went to Battlefield 1. And in Battlefield 1, they just like simplified it they swung way too far in the other direction. They simplified it way too much, in my opinion. And then I kind of lost all interest in it. So I've been hearing a lot of good things about 6. I'm actually pretty excited to jump into the beta. I didn't even realize it was going on, and I didn't realize it was like an open beta that you could just hop right into. And I have a long history with Battlefield. Like I love Battlefield 2. I played so much of that game. That was like the peak for me. And I played quite a bit of 3 and 4 too. Like spent a lot of time in those ones, but Battlefield 2, like it didn't get better for me, man. Like that was just great. And just the conquest mode with the squads, like the fact that you could group up in these squads, but you were part of like a larger battle going on, and there was like an ebb and flow to it. Like I thought it was just beautifully designed compared to Call of Duty, which just felt like more run and gun. And Battlefield had those modes where you could do that as well. But that's what I'm really hoping to recapture with Battlefield 6.
And same, and sorry, man, I know this, I'm just like, but in the maps we played, I felt, hey, this is pretty small. Like this doesn't feel like Battlefield, and the moment-to-moment gunplay was a lot of run and gun. I mean, I still had a lot of fun, and there were maps. There was this tunnel map on Battlefield 3, I believe, that was like famous for like an underground subway system, which was just completely run and gun. But was more looking for like tactical approaches to win the game with your squad, and I don't know if I 100% got that. Still really fun, but yeah, maybe the map selection for the beta was focused on one thing.
Didn't 4 have like a general position, like where you could like drop supplies on the map? Or
did it? I thought only 2142 had that.
I want to say 4, or maybe that was
had the commander role. Yeah. And I was a squad leader, and I couldn't even, and I'm sure you can do this, figure out how to like do squad orders. Cause I saw that orders were being put through and that we were getting XP for doing it, but it felt like it was like an AI commander that was like, oh, you should go to A now. You'll get bonus XP for going to A. Felt like it was being manipulated by not a player. Is that true, or this is just speculation?
I think it's speculation, but also too, I think in a way it's kind of early for us as we're still figuring out how to play it, and also too with it being beta and changing. Because I think too, a lot of it, I mean, if I remember correctly, Christian, last night we played a lot of like domination. Did we play a ton of conquest? I think we played some, but not a lot.
Played some, yeah. And I played Breakthrough, or it's not called Breakthrough, is it? Whatever, Rush.
Yeah, because Breakthrough and Rush are very much like the same run and gun. Like, of course, I like that. I'm coming from Call of Duty, but also respect that what I've always liked about Battlefield, like what you've touched on, is that Battlefield is a much more strategic and developed game than Call of Duty, for sure. But I do feel like with especially Breakthrough and like Rush, like of course, like Call of Duty players, I'd imagine, would enjoy that one the most, or like King of the Hill Domination. Those are like very similar as well with other ones.
Right.
But
and I heard they're doing a battle royale when it launches as well. They're trying to hit everyone, give little tidbits to every type of player, which I think is smart. You know, you can have fun with your friends, and yeah.
Especially in the like void where there's not really any kind of new Call of Duty or anything like that. But I don't really want to focus too much on Call of Duty either, because like again, I think really truly comparing them constantly back and forth, like while the gunplay and the run and gun moments might be similar to Call of Duty or comparable, Battlefield has always been a much more game than that as well too, because with all the vehicles and learning how to use and maneuver them, the strategy, the squads, like those kind of things really do make Battlefield such a unique and special game that it feels like it's been done really well so far. Like I'm really stoked to be diving more into Battlefield 6. And
Amanda,
yeah, it's
I had
dope.
the quintessential Battlefield experience where I'm like, I've run helicopters in Battlefield my whole life. Like, I know how this shit works. I saw it spawn. I was like, hell yeah, I'm getting in there. I'm going to be pilot. I didn't even say anything on voice chat because in 0.3 seconds, I flipped a helicopter, exploded, and killed myself. I was so ashamed. I didn't even mention. I was like, you know what? That didn't happen. That wasn't me. Who did that? I was so confident too.
Yeah, it's better than the amount of people that have gotten into the tanks and just like ride them into a wall and jump out of them and then abandon them and shit. Like,
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I don't know. I'm really stoked. I'd be really excited to hear your take on this, Bobby, as well. Comparing to it, and I'm really hoping to, like you said, Christian, that there's more strategy involved with this and more strategy plays with this. Because I don't know about the AI, because I noticed that too, that like, you know, when you complete a checkpoint or when you're completing an objective, like you're getting XP, but I'm not entirely too sure on who's leading. Based on like how things have been playing with Siash, it sounds like we might have just had a lot of squad leaders that don't know how to command just yet, or maybe they don't know the key bindings to that as well either, because this is so new, you know, like the beta just opened yesterday, like it's brand spanking new, so there's, I'm sure, tons of things that we're kind of learning about. And to me, at least with the gun customization, that actually reminds me a lot of Call of Duty, where it's not, I'm biased though, I'm coming from like Call of Duty and Tarkov, which to me are at two different ends of the spectrum. Tarkov is like the most customizing, sweaty, like into the nitty gritty ways of you know, changing up your loadout and your guns. But this reminded me a little bit more of Call of Duty, where it's kind of like they show you the gun and you can change the attachments and things like that. And I didn't find like that was hard, but I have noticed some like wonkiness with changing loadouts and like having loadouts based on the 4 classes that you could be and things like that. It seems like some modes, and I've been watching some Twitch streamers right now, because if anybody's interested in Battlefield 6, you should definitely be checking out the Twitch stream drops going on. Just because it's free shit, why not? But also, too, like, it's been really interesting watching a lot of these streamers who are really talented, really skilled, have been playing the franchise for such a long time, and their take on it and everything, too. And it seems like there are a lot of goofiness that the devs maybe have some work cut out for them in terms of streamlining and making the loadouts and the guns themselves, like, kind of a bit more fluid, user-friendly, and consistent.
Nice. I think I want to talk about something around Battlefield, which was the creator event. I caught a little bit of it. This was announcing that the open beta was live. They went from this announcement video, and they had, I think, 100 creators in the room with them. So right as the announcement video went down, everyone went live on Twitch, and all these creators had like a creator bash. That part of it was super awesome. I thought, wow, what a cool event. Like, we're watching the live gameplay reveal. These people are taking it seriously. They all are super knowledgeable about the game. You can flip through to a bunch of streams, get everyone's different perspectives. But during the presentation, they had this like 180 wraparound screen on the stage, and they were like, "Are you guys ready for Battlefield?" And it's just this like pristine city behind them, and then the bombs drop, and the city gets reduced to rubble, and everyone is cheering. And I'm like,
did you?
I don't know. Am I too old? I'm like that feels wrong. Like, it feels too simulated, and like the surround sound, everyone's cheering, all these buildings are coming down, and I was thinking like, dude, people live in those buildings, bro. Like, I don't know. Like,
3,600 people died
for their Battlefield presentation.
I know it's a video game. I know it's a video game, but
Women
I don't know.
Children.
It was a weird moment for me, where I was like, there's a couple of big wars going on in the world right now, and Battlefield 6 comes, and it's kind of a celebration of war. And I don't know, it's the 180 screen for me. It's just like, they ducked when the bombs dropped, and obviously they weren't hurt because they were on stage, but I was like, yeah, I don't know, this is...
Did you see that they did it for like every map, or did you not watch that part? Were
no,
you like, did you see the first one, and you were like, no, bro, I'm done with it? Because like they showcased a lot of maps, and in every single time they did that, they kind of did that. Where they're like, oh, and here, this is the map that you all know and love, and then jets come through and just bomb it. And like, they did it, I think 3 or I want to say 4 or 5 times to different maps.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It reminds me of that, like, how close are we to, a truly authentic war game, like Russell Crowe, I think, or maybe the guy who looks like him. Please help me out. I don't know any celebrities, but that video game movie called Gamer, where you embody the gamer in like a VR headset, and if you die in the game, you die in real life, and like criminals play and people spectate and watch. I don't know. Hey, I sound the alarm first, okay? If you see us trending in this direction and you get a little weirded out, just remember I was here on the 180 screen being like, I think it's too much.
And for the record, I think that was Gerard Butler, but not 100% sure on that.
I think you're right too. Yeah,
got it. They're very similar, I think, right?
They are.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything else on Battlefield 6, Amanda?
No, dude, I just can't wait to play more of it. I think trying to balance between Dune Awakening and Battlefield 6 is going to be rough, but it's
difficult.
Okay. I'm willing to make that. I'm willing to make that sacrifice. It's going to be great.
Right. I think this might be a game we can all play too. Like me, you, Amanda, Taylor, even Emilio, Nick. Like Battlefield is not sweaty like Squad, where you have to really put time into it to have fun. You know, there's certain roles that you have to know to have. Like, I played the sniper for 5 seconds before I was like, I'm gonna have to go to the shooting range and figure this shit out, because in the map is not the time to be being sniped across the map and like bleeding tickets for no reason. But yeah, you can run and gun and have a great time, and it's just accessible for everyone here. So it'll be fun to maybe get like a big group session going.
I would love that.
Guys, this week I played Imperium Surrectum, but you can't find that on Steam, on the Steam search bar at least, because it is a total conversion mod for Rome Total War Remastered, and it focuses on the events of the Roman Republic time period, the historical accuracy, and just expanding the base mechanics of the game beyond vanilla Rome Total War Remastered. And on the remastered, I don't know if I talked about it on this podcast, came out 2023, but they did a great job on that. It never had workshop support before, so modding back in the day, Amanda, you talk about this 9 hours of troubleshooting you did. I remember spending days. I mean, admittedly, I was a kid, so I had days. Time was fake, but like days and days trying to get these mods to work, like moving them in the right folder and then scrolling down 7 pages forward in like a forum post. Someone being like, oh, if you have this type of computer, actually you need to take that file out, or delete it, or rename it, or do whatever the hell to make this fucking mod work. And these mods were massive. I remember I downloaded one, and back when you had like gigabyte caps on your downloads monthly, I don't know, mostly that's gone for people. Maybe in some regions of the world you still have that, but as a kid, I maxed out the gigabyte download. I think I downloaded like a 24 gigabyte mod expanded texture pack for Rome Total War. And like my parents were like, we had to pay $12 for that. We went over our gigabyte capacity for download. So these were massive and complicated to install. And the remastered on Steam with workshop support, I mean, it's just a click of the button. It couldn't be easier, right? So I guess I don't want to get too involved in the mechanics because I think I'll lose pretty much everyone, but the base game of Rome Total War is a bit too basic. It's milquetoast, which I always thought was said milk toast. Did you guys know this word? Milquetoast?
No? What is that?
Milquetoas?
Not familiar with that, no.
I ran into it when I was reading Game of Thrones, and I was like, wait, is that what I think it is? Milk toast? I've heard people say milk toast is like a basic and bland thing. But no, it's milk toast. Anyways, the more you know, you learn something on this podcast every Tuesday, folks. For me, a student of history, going back to Rome Total War, now that I know everything I do, I was like, I can't really place myself in the period. I can't really get lost in this because it's a bit too basic. The battles are over quickly. Units surrender like way too quickly. The faction colors are intense. You got the green guys, the orange guys, the purple guys, and that's all very evident on the map. Bobby's laughing.
It's just funny to me. You're just like, you know what? I cannot. This is unbelievable. I'm sorry. The Centurion's epaulets are not to scale. This is just. It's unplayable.
It's unplayable. Thank you. Thank you. You're in my head. You understand where I'm coming from. The generals are so powerful. I'm like, oh my God, dude, you survived like 3 spearman unit frontal charges. That would never happen. That's crazy. So the mod fixes all that. Thank God. It drags out the battles. You have more options for strategy. You know, if your left flank is crumbling, I want to have the time to reposition the Triarii, which are, you know, my big, powerful veterans, to the left flank to bolster it. In normal Rome Total War, you know, your units are halfway across the map before you can even realize what's happening. Generals die immediately if they frontal charge into hoplites, as they should. Those guys are strong. We're talking 12 men deep, shield to shield. Come on. 15-foot pole arms, guys. I mean, it's crazy. There's realistic ammo. So another thing in Rome Total War, there was this toggleable option, arcade ammo or realistic ammo. And arcade ammo, spoiler alert, ammo never runs out. Realistic ammo, it felt like the ammo never runs out, but apparently it did. In this one, you know, the Roman soldiers carried 3 to 4 spears that they would throw in before they charged into battle or were charged, and that's all accurate. So you don't have like unlimited taking advantage of the AI with your archer units, which historically in Total War games, the AI has had challenges with how they engaged you when you were in skirmish mode with them. Anyways, cavalry are only quick in the final 50 meters of a charge, which feels awesome. They feel like a real wrecking ball instead of being like these quick units that zippity-doo-daboo all over the battlefield. They are only really fast in the final charge, and they scream and they crunch, and it just feels very real. This mod is super complicated. I open up the mod. I'm expecting complicated, right? And I'm panning over Italy, and I'm like, oh my God, I think there's 89 cities in Italy. There's 89 cities in most of the normal Rome Total War game. I think Long Victory is hold 109 cities, which is all the map. So, I mean, just in Italy alone, and I'm playing as Rome, and I'm like, oh my God, guys, this mod's going to be too complicated for me. Like, I'm going to have to, like, how much time am I going to have to invest to really get the hang of this? And guess what? I'm clicking on all one of these cities. I'm building roads. I'm building traders. I'm getting the hang of it. And it's just awesome that modding allows people to really take something they love and put it on the blueprint of a video game. I mean, essentially, this is a reskinning of the game that makes it 100 times more complicated. But it would never have been a thing unless the basic vanilla blueprint was there. So I guess my question to you guys is, have you ever experienced this sort of uplifting where a mod has not completely changed the game and not been something that's just like a sprinkle of paint over an experience, but like something that's really leveled up what you go through and, you know, made the base game better?
I think a lot of people would say that about Skyrim. I haven't played enough Skyrim to really be able to say that from personal experience, but from what I know about that game, most people don't really play it vanilla, and like there's a number of mods that just improve everything about it. But for me, most mods are graphical updates and just like widescreen fixes, and allow me to play, like, have more of a modern gaming experience of a classic game. And that's like more, I guess, of a remaster or reboot of a game. But I don't know. That's kind of my extent with mods now. Go ahead.
Oh, no, dude, sorry. Go ahead if you're going to finish.
No, I was just going to say Left 4
stand-up.
Dead 2 is like the only game that I run a ton of mods on, like, all the time. And that's just like, again, like all graphical stuff just to make the game look a little more modern.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Amanda, any
And
total
for me-
conversion mods that
Yeah, I've got like I guess like 3 games come to mind where I like have had them very modded. So I won't touch Elder Scrolls and have that any of that modded. I would prefer that vanilla, but Fallout, I'm like, sure, let's mod it up. So I had mods for Fallout 4, which were just like some quality of life ones and mostly graphic stuff too. I do like that. And then I used a lot of mods in the Sims franchise, but mostly
Oh yeah.
to mostly to change things so that way I could create better stories. I used to write stories, and like I think it was The Sims 2 used to have this thing where you could take pictures and create a storybook, and then you could upload the storybook onto a forum, and so people would create these huge like fan fiction sagas, and we would use a lot of mods to create the storyline. And so I created this entire storyline where there was like this girl born with a type of like sun tattoo on her forehead, which the government wanted to eradicate all the people born that way because they were said to think in a different way. And so they had hid her, this family hid her, and it was about her like growing up in hiding and then trying to change like the laws and things so that way then more people like her could survive and live.
This is way more interesting than Imperium Surrectum. You just came up with a young adult novel. I don't know. Did anyone steal this idea? Like, did you talk to publishers?
I was rated like 5 fucking stars and was on the very front of the forum
awesome. Is this around?
For years.
Is this
I don't know. It's gone. No, it's fucking
That's
gone.
So sad.
All my
that
damn
so
fan
sad.
fiction. Yeah, all my fan fiction from childhood is gone. But I used the shit out of mods to make these stories like happen and come to life, and all kinds of different ones. I think there was a type of mod to make like even more pages in the storybook or something like that. So there were some mods that changed it a little bit, but most of those mods still were cosmetic or would allow you to kind of like break snapping for building things so that way then you could really take creative control. And the only other game that I have modded the fuck out of and played is using a lot of mods for Ark Survival Evolved, because some of the mods need to happen. I know that the S Plus mod was like a really big famous one that then in like recent Arks they just actually straight up implemented that into the vanilla game because it allowed you to fix your mistakes when you were building bases. And so instead of having to demolish a wall and then rebuild it, it would just allow you to like pick it up and move it. And so that was a very simple like quality of life mod, but then they've had so many mods in Ark that, you know, where like one of them was like this like Pokeball kind of mod where you straight up had this like little gun and then these like essence orbs, and you could store your dinosaurs like Pokemon and put them away and carry them with you, which was huge. Yeah, that changed the game in like such a great way too. So it was very fun. And then you'd have these like essence banks where you could store all your dinosaurs in a bank. So then this way they weren't taking up in space on your base and like messing with the rendering.
I want to get back to the Sims. Sorry, I'm just fascinated with this fucking Sim shit. So in Total War games, we had these things called after action reports, which is essentially what you were doing on The Sims, which is making a story out of your campaign. And a lot of those happened with mods because mods added all sort of interesting traits and events to the base game that people weren't expecting. So it'd be so surprising when it's like, oh, I triggered this in this character, and you know, people were really role playing it. And I've read pages and pages, and I even made a couple after action reports. So I guess, but I never even considered that this would be possible on The Sims, but it makes so much sense. Like, you have this family, and did you play The Sims? Like, did you not let other Sims see the sun child? Like, did you always hide her? What?
Yes.
That's so good, dude. Bobby's looking at us like, hey guys, this is the silliest thing I've ever heard. But like, this is so fun. Like, so you would make relationships with Sims all over the neighborhood and no one knew you had a kid.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
And hid her away. But a lot of times, like, I felt like playing The Sims to create that story was also playing the entire game using it as a tool, not as a game. So like so many of the things, so much of the stuff I would be doing would be like trying to get the perfect camera angle for the shot of the picture that I wanted to fulfill the story.
This is fascinating.
So I wasn't, so I wasn't necessarily like it's not like I was having them live out their lives. I would have them live out their
You're
lives
making
if
a
I
story
needed
first.
to.
You're a
Yeah,
storyteller.
making a story
Yeah.
first. Exactly. I'm making a story first and kind of directing, I guess, the Sims to be in a way where it's going to fulfill the story. And so I really only played and progressed when I needed to get to the next part.
I don't even want to ask Bobby if he's done any of this but have you role played because I know you've submitted stuff to the Steam Workshop, like graphical backgrounds. I'm pretty sure for people's Steam profiles. Maybe you're scowling, maybe I'm mistaken.
No, I've never submitted anything to the Steam Workshop. I made a few like wallpapers and stuff, and that's I think they call it artwork for games.
Okay. Right.
And that goes into like the community page for the game, but no, never submitted anything for Steam Workshop.
And certainly never role played as Kyle Katarn. And
no, certainly not. No, no role playing over here.
He loves stories. He loves stories so much. He just wants a story game. Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, there's a running joke. We played D&D with Bobby, and he named his character Dwarf Paladin, and we were role playing, so we had to call him that in game. But it's just he does not. Although we did a role play Pulsar Lost Colony, which is like a spaceship adventure game, and Bobby did use a voice changer to make him sound like a robot because his character, Bobby, I think that counts as role play. I think
so.
You might have broken your golden rule.
About the laziest role playing you can do. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was fun. I just learned that me and Amanda were both making stories on online forums, and the Total War Center stories I made, I'm pretty sure are still there because the forum site is up. I didn't even go check. It's so sad that you've lost those, or that those have been lost. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any like Wayback Machine? Like, is there any way? Have you tried?
I don't know. I haven't I did a search and tried to find it, and I don't know. Maybe I didn't dig hard enough.
Right.
But they removed those, I think, when like Sims 3 or Sims 4 came out. Because it was on their official site.
The official
it was
site.
An official forum.
Right.
Yeah, and it was so cool. I felt so proud when like my story went up to like
of course
the top page.
Which is
I was
amazing,
like, holy
by
shit,
the way.
yeah, so cool. But like,
Yeah.
a blast from the past, and it doesn't exist anymore. So Pixar didn't happen.
Damn.
I guess it didn't happen because I don't have the receipts. But
okay, it's impossible to find. I see it. Okay, moving on. What do you want to play, Amanda?
Well, if I'm being 100% transparent, all I want to play is Battlefield 6. But I did put...
That's completely fair.
I did put on here Tales of the Shire, a Lord of the Rings game, because I have it on my fantasy league, and I want it to do well, and it seems interesting. And especially now, after talking about The Sims and creating a story, I have new hopes and dreams for this game, actually. So what is it? It's a cozy life sim where you are going to be a hobbit living in the Shire. You'll interact with some characters that are very familiar to the IP of Lord of the Rings, like Gandalf is in there. And so you're just kind of having a good time. And it seems to be mostly a game centered around building and creating, very much like The Sims, where you're working on decorating your house and building up your area of the Shire. You can build farms, you can kind of tweak and change things there. Some people have compared it to like Stardew Valley for Lord of the Rings, or The Sims, but Lord of the Rings. And so it seems like a cute game. Initially, when I had first heard about it, I was like super stoked about it because I was like, oh, this is going to be really fun, really cute, and in an awesome IP. And then I think it was it might have been Summer Games Fest. One of the fests showed a Twitch streamer playing it, and she was so focused and fixated on cooking and just like how cooking is a vibe that I was like, I don't know if I'm... Cooking is a big part
of this game, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know.
One of the biggest parts of the game, I think.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I hope so. I would like to try it and check it out. It's like $30-some on Steam right now. It's got positive reviews right now going, and it seems to be rated pretty decently high. Not high enough to give me good points in the fantasy league, but that's okay.
Yeah. Well, IGN gave it a 4 out of 10, which I thought, ooh,
it's brutal.
But Rianne is playing it. She's been looking forward to it for a long time, and she's really enjoying it. But yes, I think less Stardew Valley, less Sims, a lot more Animal Crossing, which is probably why the streamer playing with it didn't necessarily vibe with what you were looking in it for the game. And Rihanna has had some disappointments. So when you talk to like villagers in Animal Crossing, that's one of the best things, building a relationship with them and seeing what they say. And she was really looking forward to do that in the Shire. You know, who are all these hobbits? What are they going to tell me? But that aspect of the game is quite minimal, and it's more about the cooking, as far as I understand. Yeah.
And it's weird because typically in most games that have cooking, I've actually always been one of the biggest like cooking skill developers. Like Guild Wars 2, that was the first skill I maxed out, was cooking. I tend to gravitate towards cooking in MMOs as well, and have the highest levels with that. But I think making an entire game that is like, you can develop your Shire and interact with a bunch of great people, but then you get in there and it's only pretty much about cooking. It feels like a weird bait and switch to me. So I
knew
don't
there would
know.
be cooking. I just didn't know it would be cooking.
Yeah, I just didn't know I was playing a cooking sim. So, but I don't know. I hope that they can kind of work more on it then, I guess, because as we've been talking about The Sims, I was like, oh, it'd be really cool to do something similar to that, where like I could create or role play these like story books about the different hobbits in the Shire, you know.
That would be fun.
That would be very fun, but at the same time, making a cooking channel for the Shire is not exactly something that I was planning on wanting to do anyway, but that could be
pretty
cool.
Good idea. Like dress up as like a chef and be like, today at the Underfoots, we're going to be making a Nazgul spaghetti.
Potatoes.
Brought to you
Boil
by...
them, mash them, stick them in a stew. We're making them in all the different kinds of ways. Yeah, so I don't know. The game looks cute, looks fun, but at the same time,
maybe you should do it, dude. I feel like you have something going there.
That'd be pretty funny, but I got people to kill in a tank, dude. Battlefield 6, come on.
True.
I've got destruction to have.
All right, Bobby, what do you want to play?
So I mentioned Little Nightmares earlier in the show. So I saw this at Comic-Con, and I'd never played the first two Little Nightmares. I remember Emilio did and talked quite a bit about them. He really liked them. These are basically 3D/2.5D puzzle games, puzzle adventure games. They're very light horror, kid-friendly horror, kind of like a Tim Burton stop-motion movie like, I don't know, Nine or Coraline or something like that kind of vibe. But what's really interesting about Little Nightmares 3 is they've added co-op. So this is now a co-op experience, more like Split Fiction or It Takes Two, maybe. So you know I love the co-op games. Also, they switched developers. So the first two were made by Tarsier Studios. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And basically, the studio just made the Little Nightmares games. The new developer of number 3 is Supermassive Games, which, if you look at their history, they have made mostly narrative-driven games. Recently, The Quarry, and also the Dark Pictures anthology, which I believe we've talked about before on this podcast, or actually in the community. A lot of people have recommended those. So I'm very interested to see. It seems like a very new direction for this franchise. The co-op has me very interested, and I'm wondering how like this new developer is going to change the direction of the game as well. It's like $40 and doesn't come out till October, so it'd be like the perfect Halloween game.
Nice.
So yeah, this might be.
So too.
Why do you want to punish yourself? You know you don't like narrative in games, but now that they're switching from, you know, if the developer switches any indication about how the game will play, from more of like a puzzle platformer to more of a narrative-driven game. And I feel like, won't you hate that?
No, I feel like the focus is still going to be on the puzzles. And there are some of these games, like I'm thinking of some old examples like Limbo, or one that I really enjoyed that didn't really get a lot of attention was called The Cave, that I really enjoyed. And I don't know, this game, the Little Nightmare games always kind of reminded me a little bit of those. Those were, at least The Cave was a little more like mysterious, not quite horror, but I don't know. Maybe what I should do is play Little Nightmares 1, because I do have that game, and see if I like it, and then I'll know if I'm ready for Little Nightmares 3.
Nice.
Well, I think this will be really interesting and cool because, I mean, hopefully with supermassive games, they can take what was already built on 1 and 2 in terms of the mechanics of the adventure and platformer part and the puzzles, and then just really extrapolate on that and bring in what they're doing best, which is their narrative style, and add to it. Because I think that if they could take a platformer co-op with puzzles in a light and kind of kid-friendly horror Tim Burton style-esque, but then add in really good story and narration, like this is gonna be a heavy contender then to something like Split Fiction and It Takes Two. Because I mean that's part of, I think, what made those games so great is that they had the mechanics of like a platformer co-op, couch co-op kind of game down, but they really brought it with the story, the atmosphere, the design of the world.
I did not like the story in It Takes Two. It felt
I mean,
so
I didn't
basic.
either, dude, but they won. I mean, so like full disclosure, I fucking hated the story of It Takes Two, but I could respect what they were trying to do and how different that was for a lot of couch co-ops and platformers and things like that at the time, because it was like hashed out. I just was like, I don't want to be your fucking couples therapist and like the kid like, the parents got I don't know. I did not like the story, but Split Fiction though,
I thought it was
that fucking
cringe.
story was amazing.
Okay, I never played that one, but
Oh, see, Split Fiction, the story is amazing. I felt like the It Takes Two story was kind of cringe, but it's still, it can be cringe and well
I think
made.
that's more like an indictment on video games. Like they need to stick to high concept sci-fi and fantasy. Don't try to tackle real world problems because
no.
then it becomes very apparent how poor a medium
story
video
is.
games are
Yeah.
for storytelling.
yeah, I went there. People were treating it like it was fucking, that movie Marriage Story. Like, oh, the story is so good in this game. I was like, oh, cool. Like they're really going to get in depth. And it's like, mommy and daddy don't like each other anymore. I was like, come on, bro, let's fucking get with it.
But then,
And they just need
it's
a
like
book
you
of
play
love
a game and
to
it's,
fix it, dude. Duh.
yeah. No, I could totally understand that. But then you go play a game and it's like, well, the Bleep Nors are invading planet Ziknar and like we have to rescue them. And people are like, just like enthralled by it and like, oh, this is master storytelling.
Don't insult Bleep Nor like that ever again, Bobby. Okay, I want to play Manor Lords. That is the in-depth medieval strategy city builder where you need real oxen, a real oxen free to haul the felled tree from the forest. If that oxen is doing something else, napping, maybe helping build a structure in the town, that tree is going to stay in that forest and you are not going to get that wood. So this is a realistic game where people walk, paths form, it's really like a Zen garden city builder experience. It's slow, it's methodical.
God, sounds like a boring story. Where's the Zeebglorps, dude?
Where's the Zeebglorps? Hey, we need the Zeebglorps. So anyways, the criticism of this game is that updates have been far and few in between. But to be fair, the developer has been talking about this game, I think, my dates are going to be wrong, but I think at least since 2019, he said, hey, I'm starting this game over Twitter, now X. He kind of fleshed out this idea. He was giving live dev updates and people were giving him feedback before the Steam page was even up, before there was ever a build to play. He amassed this giant community and he's always developed this game sort of like the gameplay loop. Very slow, very methodical, so much attention to detail and the little things that make it feel alive. And so when I see negative reviews on the Steam page, like, oh, there hasn't been an update in 7 months, I'm like, dude, this game took 7 years to get out. Like this is a slow burn and what we have is something really special. So whatever that criticism has been, since I've jumped into it in 2023, there has been a number of updates that have changed the game. There's new shop work types. Castles have expanded in functionality. People can be on the battlements of the castle now. Hello. That's awesome, right? Hiding behind what are those cutouts called? There's a specific word for those battlement cutouts that I always forget. And whenever I see it, I'm like, haha, what a cool, no.
Is it a parapet?
Yeah. Awesome. Great job, Bobby. The UI has been improved. Awesome. And basically, I would just want to go back to this, get a feel about what has changed. And I want to lose myself in my medieval village again. And it's looking like there's only a couple more updates before 1.0. So go back to it at I think it's the 0.8, and then again on 1.0, and then I'll shelve Manor Lords where it belongs in the completed pile in my Steam library. But yeah, just want to give it another go in the sack. You guys, me and Nick talked about Manor Lords so long ago. Any interest in this Zen Garden City Builder?
I could see myself really liking this.
I got way too into Mount and Blade 2 a few years ago, like to the point where I just had to like put it away. And Manor Lords kind of reminded me of that, but I remember when this was announced and talking about it, and it just seemed like one of those games, like a Star Citizen type of game where it's just going to be, in development forever and ever, and you'd have to be very patient with it. So I don't know. I don't typically tend to get into those games, but I do admire what it's trying to do.
Nice. Cool. All right. What is our community up to? So, first of all, thank you to everyone who supports us on Patreon, but especially our executive producer. Can we get claps? Can we get claps in the studio? Truthbringer, thank you. Claps for you. You support us at a level other people don't, which is why we say your name every episode. Bobby, what do we got for listener questions?
Well, before we get into listener questions, we just want to do a quick recap of some community feedback that was in our Discord, and also just people messaging me on Steam. So a lot of people commented on the Steam Deck. I was talking about possibly getting a Steam Deck, and to my surprise, a lot of people were like, well, here's actually some alternatives you should consider. Some people just suggesting running a long HDMI cable, which is what I did in my last place. And yeah, that's, if you can, that's the best option. But also like the ROG Ally and Bazite, which allows you to run kind of like SteamOS on Linux operating systems. But I was kind of surprised because a lot of people were just like, there's better options than the Steam Deck. And maybe there are, but really what I'm going for here is simplicity. So I don't know. I'm going to look at some other options. I have a friend or a coworker that has an ROG Ally. So I'm really interested to hear what their experience is with that. Something about the Steam Deck just seems like simple and easy. So that's kind of why I defaulted to that. But either way, shout out to Pancakes, Burn Division, and Greg for talking about that. And our first listener question is from Greg, and he asks, what PC/video game trend do you wish came back?
Full release on launch, like the full game. Instead of releasing an early access game or releasing a game that is clearly not finished and then spending like up to 5 years, I'm looking at you, No Man's Sky, taking forever, working with the community and becoming more of a service model instead of like a finished game model. I feel like a lot of video game studios are starting to do that where like very quickly or as soon as they release, like they have this like service mindset where they're going to adjust with the community. And I do think that there's some space for that, but I miss the time when it was like, you go out, you buy the game is complete, like, and it's in full.
Yeah. On one hand, it's like games have become so complicated now that they kind of work better in this newer model, but I feel that way about a lot of things as well. It definitely gets abused, I think, the early access. Maybe not. So I don't know if anyone remembers Steam's first version of early access. It was called
Steam Greenlight.
Yep. Greenlight. Yeah, Greenlight. And that was a disaster. But I don't know. Early access, I got mixed feelings on that.
I mean, I do too, but I do wish that it was more of a trend that games were finished when they released. But there is a place for it. But like you said, it's definitely, and I agree that it's certainly abused.
I'm always surprised when city builders come out and they don't have an early access period because they're usually on the more complicated side, and people who play city builders are so opinionated about the smallest details. Usually, a game called Zion released. It's this space city builder where you are building on this kind of intergalactic ship on a voyage through the stars. And I was like, oh, it released at $44, if I remember correctly, Canadian. And I was like, oh, that's a little bit on the pricier end, and it's not an early access. I wonder if this is going to be a flop. And they nailed it right out of the gate, and it was super satisfying to see that happen. So not impossible, but also completely right that games are far more complicated and sometimes benefit from the early access. But it is nice to see when they don't. It is nice to see the full release and just like, yes, good game that I don't have to keep checking in on, like, for example, a Manor Lords. But also, how lucky am I to check in on a Manor Lords? I don't have an answer to the question, Greg. I don't know anything about PC video game trends except what Amanda just said. So,
well, it almost seems like there really aren't any. I'm not like very closely connected to the community at large. I can't like speak for all gamers, but to me, I don't really notice too many trends. And honestly, I feel like we're in a pretty good spot right now. It doesn't seem like all gamers are clustering towards one game like Fortnite or League of Legends, or there's a dominant genre. It seems, more on the niche and fractured side, which I think is healthy. And also, I think there's more of a focus on co-op games these days. And back in the day, everything was just competitive versus. I was playing Helldivers last week, and there's some very active team. I had some very some teammates who were very active on voice chat. One of them particularly nice guy, but one of those people that just don't have any internal thoughts, right? Like anything that pops into their head, they have to vocalize, right? So it was just like constant talking, but nice guy. And he was talking about like, how video games are so different. Like nobody shit talks anymore. And like you never see that anymore. And I'm just like, well, yeah. And I mean, that's not a bad thing, but I think it's because, look at us right now. We're playing a co-op game. Like all the games that I play online are like co-op games. Like back in the day, everything was like zero sum competitive. Like I have to have a bad time for you to have a good time, or vice versa, Mm-hmm. And I feel like we've kind of gotten away from that, and it just feels like it's a much better environment because of it.
It's strange you say that, because even in Battlefield 6, no one was really using the all chat, but there was this guy who was on the other team and we were winning, and he typed in chat, my team is brain dead and I'm leaving GG for nothing, or something like passive aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Dickhole. Yeah. And then
so it's probably the games that I'm playing. I'm sure that stuff is still out there.
No, this has a way better ending, because everyone on his team was like, oh no, we lost that guy. And they're like, F's in chat for this guy. And I don't know, they were ribbing him, but in like, they weren't being vulgar. They weren't like putting him down really. They were just saying like, okay, bro, like, yeah, it's fine. It's just a game. Like, move on. It's all good.
And, probably like, I think gamers have matured too. A lot of people who play video games are probably like in their 40s, like with kids and colonoscopies. And it's hard to be like that. It's hard to take this stuff like too seriously anymore,
Yeah. Yeah. And when you come into contact with someone who is like really sweaty on it, you're almost like, oh, these aren't my people, or at least that's my interaction. Yeah, like I'm out of here. Like, it's a little too. I smell the sweat in the air. Okay, Amanda, any plugs this week?
The only thing I got is kind of a reminder for those that are interested in DLG Con. We're having our first meeting on Discord on this Saturday, August 16th at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. A reminder that DLG Con is happening September 26th to the 29th in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And we still, I believe, have a bed available with the opportunity to open up more beds if we have the interest. So reach out if you're interested, especially too if you are somebody that is in Wisconsin and you want to come and stop by. Whether you want to spend the night or not, please reach out so that way we can kind of talk about it. But otherwise, I will be seeing the DLG Connors this Saturday for a meeting.
Nice.
And if you're curious as to where all this information and all this shit is, you can find it through our Discord on dlgaming.net. We have our Discord link there, and it's under the DLG Con planning channel in our Discord.
Nice. Say hi. Play some board games with us. Maybe even a video game if you're lucky. Come to DLG Con. Wonderful. Okay. Guys, my name is Christian. Joining me today was Amanda and, of course, Bobby. Next episode, you guys got to tune in because Taylor is going to be revealing his exciting findings on gacha games. He said before he left he would not open his wallet, but these games are designed to crack your skull and get the fucking money out of you. So we'll see if he did protect his money, if he still has his wallet next episode. What's going to play us out today is a song really special to me, Red Frontier Radio. The song is called Meteor Falls by Surviving Mars. In Surviving Mars, there was 7 radio stations, and this is the one I had on repeat. Before the show started, Amanda and Bobby were kind of booping with it. So I hope we can all boop together, and see you next week.